You are someone who loves without measure, not because you don't know limits, but because your heart was never built to calculate love. You feel deeply, you give fully, and even when it costs you more than it should, you still choose tenderness over protection. This isn't weakness, but for a long time the world treated it as if it were. You learned to believe that loving this much meant you had to endure more, that carrying others emotionally was part of who you are, that pulling back would make you less real, less kind, less you. And so you stayed open, even when your own heart began to feel tired. What you were never told is this: a heart like yours was not designed to be drained. It was designed to be guided. Midway through your life, there comes a quiet moment when the soul asks a different question. Not how much more can I give, but who is guiding my love now? This is where we speak to you. We, the Pleiadians, work with the emotional field of those whose love flows naturally and abundantly, especially women whose hearts were never meant to shrink, but were never taught how to be held. Nothing about your capacity to love is wrong, but love without guidance slowly turns into self-forgetting, and your soul is ready for something different. Loving without measure often begins very early. You learn to feel before you learn to protect, to sense the emotional atmosphere before you learned how to name your own needs. So love became something you offered, long before it became something you received. Over time, this created a silent pattern. You became the one who understands, the one who adapts, the one who loves even when love is not returned in the same depth. Not because you lack discernment, but because your heart recognizes potential before reality. And slowly, without noticing, love turned into responsibility. You started to monitor emotions that were never yours to carry, to soften conflicts that were not created by you, to stay present even when your inner world asked for rest. This is how a boundless heart becomes tired, not from loving, but from loving alone. Here is the truth your soul needs to hear. A guided heart does not close. It learns where to flow. When love is guided, it no longer moves toward those who consume it. It moves toward those who can meet it. This is not withdrawal. It is alignment. We, the Pleiadians, do not teach the sensitive heart to harden. We help it recognize its own rhythm. Your sensitivity was never meant to be everywhere at once. It was meant to be directed, so that love becomes nourishment again, not depletion. And your heart is beginning to remember that. There comes a moment when something inside you shifts, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a calm clarity that cannot be undone. You begin to notice how your body reacts when love is not guided. The tightness in your chest, the subtle fatigue after giving too much, the quiet sadness that appears when you are present, but not truly met. This awareness is not meant to make you regret your past. It is meant to restore your direction. A guided heart listens to its own signals. It notices when presence feels mutual, when care moves both ways, when love expands instead of contracts your inner space. This is how discernment is born, not from fear, but from self-respect. You are not being asked to love less. You are being asked to love with guidance. And guidance does not come from the mind alone. It comes from the emotional field, the place where your intuition speaks before words exist. We, the Pleiadians, support this recalibration. We help the sensitive heart recognize when love is aligned with its essence, and when it is unconsciously compensating for imbalance. As this recognition settles, you may notice something surprising. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself, to justify your depth, to convince others to meet you where you already are. Because when love is guided, it stops searching for permission, and your heart begins to stand quietly, not guarded, but sovereign. This is where guidance becomes something you can sense, not as a concept, but as a quiet inner alignment. We, the Pleiadians, work within the emotional field of the heart, especially with those whose love flows naturally, but was never taught how to recognize direction. A heart that loves without measure does not need to be restrained. It needs orientation. As you listen now, bring your awareness gently to your chest. There is an intelligence there that does not argue or justify, simply knows when love is aligned and when it is quietly being drained. Guidance is not about doing less. It is about knowing where your love belongs. This is why writing matters. When you put words into form, the emotional system receives a signal of coherence. It moves intention out of abstraction and into the body. That is how alignment stabilizes. So if this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "My heart is guided," not as a declaration to others, but as a moment of self-recognition. Guided love does not disappear. It becomes calmer, clearer, and safe enough to remain open. You were never meant to love less. You were meant to love with guidance.